Imagine a crisp autumn morning in the late 14th century, deep in a Christian village in Rumelia, part of the sprawling Ottoman Empire. The air is thick with a mixture of tension, sorrow, and unspoken questions. This isn't just any morning. It's a day that'll forever change the lives of many families gathered in the village square. This is the day of the Devshirme. Welcome back to our channel. Today, we're journeying back in time to witness a pivotal, yet heart-wrenching, moment in history. The very first implementation of the Devshirme system, the levy of boys that would form the elite Janissary Corps of the Ottoman Empire. The Devshirme, initiated during the reign of Sultan Murad I, was a unique system of human tribute. The idea was to select the brightest and physically strongest non-Muslim boys from the empire's Christian subjects in the Balkans. These children would be taken from their homes, converted to Islam, and educated to become the most loyal servants of the state, serving either in the elite military ranks of the Janissaries or in the highest levels of the imperial administration. Look at the scene before us. In the village square, under the shadow of the local Orthodox church, families huddled together. Children, some curious, others fearful, cling to their parents. In the foreground, stern-faced Ottoman officials stand with scrolls and lists, their eyes scanning the crowd. These men are not just soldiers. They're scouts, looking for potential. They carry strange instruments, not of war, but of measurement, designed to assess the physical prowess and potential of each boy. The selection process was methodical, almost clinical. Boys, typically between the ages of 8 and 18, would be lined up. They had to be of sound body and mind, unmarried, and often not the family's only son, though this rule was not always strictly followed. The officials would measure their height, check their strength, and assess their intelligence through quick-witted questions. It was a cold, calculated process that stood in stark contrast to the emotional turmoil swirling around them. For the Ottoman state, this was a pragmatic solution. By taking boys at a young age and raising them in a new culture, loyalty was transferred from family and village to the Sultan and the empire. They would have no competing allegiances, no land to inherit, no regional ties to distract them. Their entire world would become the state they served. This created a fiercely loyal and highly effective military and administrative class that was instrumental in the Ottoman Empire's expansion and consolidation of power for centuries. But for the families, it was a moment of profound loss. Imagine being a parent, watching as your son is measured, examined, and then, if chosen, given a number to hang around his neck. That number symbolized the moment his individual identity began to be erased, replaced by his new role within a vast, impersonal system. The ground is scattered with fallen autumn leaves, a poignant symbol of this period of transition, of letting go. Let's focus on one family. A mother pulls her son into a final, desperate embrace. Tears stream down her face, but she tries to hide them, to be strong for him. Her son, perhaps only 10 years old, looks back at her with a mix of confusion and a dawning understanding of the gravity of the moment. In his small hand, she presses a simple wooden spoon, a memento of the home he is leaving behind. This humble object represents his lost childhood, the warmth of his family's hearth, and the bonds that are being severed. It's all she can give him to remember who he was. In the background, the scene is framed by the powerful presence of Janissary cavalry. These are the men the selected boys will become, mounted on strong horses, clad in distinctive uniforms. They represent the future that awaits these children. Their presence is a silent promise of power and status, but also a stark reminder of the cultural and religious transformation to come. The church spire reaching towards the sky and the cavalry units on the ground perfectly illustrate this intersection of two worlds, two faiths, two futures colliding in this small village square. The emotions of this day were incredibly complex. For the parents, there was the searing pain of separation. They were losing a son, and in most cases, they would never see him again. Yet, woven into this sorrow was a flicker of a different emotion, hope. Being selected for the Devshirme was, in a strange way, an opportunity. Their son would receive the best education, food, and training the empire could offer. He could rise to become a grand vizier, a governor, or a general positions of immense power and wealth, unimaginable for a peasant boy from a remote village. For some families living in poverty, this was a bitter pill to swallow. but a chance for their child to escape a life of hardship. As the chosen boys are led away, they glance back one last time. Their mother's quiet weeping is a heartbreaking soundtrack to their departure. They are walking towards a new life, leaving the mud and familiarity of their village for the gleaming palaces and rigorous barracks of the Ottoman capital. They will learn new languages, a new religion, and a new way of life. They will be forged into the color, the slaves of the Sultan, a title that paradoxically signified the highest honor and belonging. The Devshirme system was a cornerstone of Ottoman strength for nearly 300 years. It produced some of the empire's most brilliant architects, administrators, and military commanders. Men like Sakalu Memde Pasha, a Grand Vizier of Serbian origin, rose through this very system to effectively rule the empire. The Janissaries themselves became one of the most formidable and disciplined armies of their time, feared on the battlefields of Europe and the Middle East. However, the system was not without its controversies and resistance. While some families accepted it as fate or even an opportunity, others resisted fiercely. There are accounts of families trying to hide their sons, marrying them off at a young age, or even maiming them slightly to make them ineligible for the levy. The practice was a source of deep resentment in many Christian communities, who saw it as a cruel and unjust tax paid in human flesh and blood. As the centuries wore on, the Devshirme system began to change. The Janissaries grew so powerful that they started to demand the right to marry and enroll their own sons into the corps, diluting the original principle of undivided loyalty to the Sultan. By the late 17th century, the system had largely fallen into disuse, and it was officially abolished in the 19th century as part of the empire's modernization efforts. But let's return to our scene in that late 14th century village. The sun is beginning to set, casting long shadows across the now empty square. The officials have moved on, the cavalry has departed, and the selected boys are on their long journey to a world they cannot yet imagine. All that remains are the grieving families and the echoes of a day that perfectly encapsulates the complex blend of brutality, pragmatism, and opportunity that defined the Ottoman Empire. The wooden spoon in the boys' hand, the numbers around their necks, the autumn leaves. On the ground, these are the small details that tell a massive story of cultural collision, personal sacrifice, and the relentless machinery of empire. The Devshirme system is a powerful reminder that history is rarely black and white. It was a system of institutionalized child abduction, yet it was also a unique channel for social mobility. It was a source of immense pain for families, but it was also the foundation of the empire's stability and power. Understanding this duality is key to understanding the Ottoman world. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey back in time. What are your thoughts on the Devshirme system? Let us know in the comments below. If you found this video interesting, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more deep dives into the fascinating and often complex moments of our shared past. We'll see you in the next one.